Hello, everyone, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of the highly anticipated 28 years later, the third film in this franchise, and is meant to kick off a brand new trilogy of films. Starting with this one, this go around, we have the return of Danny Boyle as the director and writer Alex Garland as the writer who gave us the first 28 Days Later back in 2002. 28 years later stars Jodie Comer, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Jack O'Connor, Alfie Williams, and Ray Fiennes. And this go around, a group of survivors of the rage virus live on a small island. When one of the group leaves the island on a mission onto the mainland, he discovers secrets, wonders, and horrors that have mutated not only the infected, but the other survivors. This was on the top of my highly anticipated list of 2025. This film, it just, I don't know, that first trailer just hit me all in the feels. I was so ready for 28 years later. Not to say that I'm a huge fan of the franchise, because I really loved the first one. I enjoyed the first one. The second one I felt was all right, 28 weeks later. But I loved the first one. And to have Danny Boyle come back, Alex Garland come back, hey, I mean, I figured if worse come to worse, at least we'll get something comparable to 28 Days Later. We didn't get that. Now I was I was solely disappointed with this movie. This is truly my first big disappointment of 2025. And I think that's a good thing, because we're at the end of June, or coming up to the end of June, and I finally got something that I didn't too much care for, as far as, measuring up to my excitement level. This was a very disappointing movie. It did not check any boxes for me, going in. While I was watching this film, I'm reminded of an old Lauryn Hill song. If there are any Lauryn Hill fans out there, Lauryn Hill released a song called X Factor back in the early 2000s. And beautiful song. Love that song. And one of the lyrics just played in my head throughout the last half of this film. Just randomly popped in my head. And the lyrics are, "It could have all been so simple, but you rather make it hard." And that just played in my mind, just on repeat throughout the latter half of this film. There is an excellent movie within this movie, but for some strange reason, we didn't get it. We did not get that film. There is so much to explore, and I know that there are 3 films that they have set, that they have written. One has already been shot. They shot the film back to back. I think it's coming out in January, the sequel to 28 Years Later. But you could at least explain something, gave me something to get excited moving forward in this franchise. And it didn't happen. There are characters in this film I'm still questioning, why were they even in the movie? There are actors who are a part of this project. I'm wondering, why were they even in the film? It made no sense. They set up things that I'm pretty sure is going to be explained in the following films. But why wait? Why wait? And it's simple stuff. It's not big arcing story points that I'm asking for here to get resolved. I'm just asking for little stuff. And the little stuff was like glossed over. For instance, these infected, because they aren't zombies. These aren't dead people. They're just infected with this rage virus. They evolved. they evolved since the last time we saw them in 28 weeks later. And so let's explain that. Let's dive into that. Wasn't explained. There are some premonitions that happen. I guess they were premonitions that happened with one of the characters here. Wasn't explained. They just went on through that. Like, okay, no explanation needed. Something super major happened towards the middle of this film involving a female infected. Oh, should I say? I'm just going to say it. I don't care. A pregnant infected individual that happened. And it was like, okay, we're moving on. It was nothing touched in on that. And that's a major thing that took place. Now, granted, pretty sure we're going to get a little explanation in the next film, if not in the third film in this trilogy, but I don't want to wait for that. I mean, this was major. This was a major thing. But I guess the part that frustrated me about it was the fact that this happened in the middle of the film and we continued to move on like it was nothing. That's the thing that really bothered me. Nobody even said it. Nobody even questioned it. And if you saw the movie, you know what I'm talking about. I'm trying my best not to spoil. I mean, even though this movie is unspoilable, but it's like, it's some things you need to see for yourself in order to grasp it. I want you to go into this, with fresh eyes, because I saw the reviews before I went. I read comments before I went to go see it, but I kind of just brushed them to the side, wanted my own take on the film. And for the most part, all the reviews and the comments previewing this film are pretty much on point post viewing this film. And they were right. Everybody is pretty much on the exact same page here. Didn't expect to go into this movie and the young actor, Alfie Williams, he's the lead of this film. The child, the kid, he's the lead of this movie. And I didn't know that. You have Aaron Taylor Johnson and you have Jodie Comer, and I'm thinking, okay, they're the leads. No, they're not the leads. They're not the leads. It was this young actor. And just to put some positive here, because I've been talking negative for about 8 minutes, he did great. I thought he did a good job in his role. This is feature film debut, I believe. Really good young actor. Did a marvelous job with the role that he was given. I just didn't understand the role. I didn't understand his placement on the patriarchy here. I didn't understand why he was held up to this high esteem in this group of survivors on this island. But once again, I guess we'll find out in the sequel or whatever. But man, look, I wasn't expecting Night of the Living Dead level quote unquote zombie film. I wasn't expecting an action-packed summer blockbuster. I wasn't looking for all that. If you know Danny Boyle's filmography, you pretty much got a Danny Boyle film. And I love Danny Boyle. I love his movies. I think he's an exceptional filmmaker. But I don't know, man. This was boring. This was a boring movie. Why are we 3 films into a franchise and we're getting nothing but expedition throughout this film? I mean, the whole first hour of this film was just explain stuff. If you're a fan of this franchise, you already know. I think you already know. But if you are new to the game, I guess, okay, it probably helped you out. But even with that, there is so much explaining going on that it just felt cookie cutter to me and spoon fed, and I didn't appreciate it. I just did not like it, because I mean, shame on me for feeling this way. But if you go, I believe that if you have an IQ over 10, you ought to go into this knowing exactly what's going on. You could tell from the trailers what's going on, and so you didn't need all of that explained to you. You took up a whole 45 minutes up to an hour just explaining let's get to it, man. People wanted to see this post-apocalyptic movie, and we didn't really get that. It was just poorly paced and long for no reason whatsoever. I already mentioned Alfie Williams, the young actor here, who did a good job. Everybody here did good. I'm not mad at none of the actors here. I think everybody did an exceptional job. These are some top-notch actors, Joni Comer and Aaron Taylor Johnson and Ralph Fiennes. I mean, come on. I mean, these are awesome, awesome actors. And so they did the best they could with what they were given. The only one that I'm kind of scratching my head on, who is also an exceptional actor, is Jack O'Connell. And Jack O'Connell is a phenomenal actor. If you don't believe me, go watch Sinners. He is awesome. And he pops up in this movie. And once again, not spoiling nothing. It's like, what is it? What is happening, right? You look around, you're like, what is this character? What is this? But this movie is going to ask you to just hold off for about 6 months and watch the sequel. And it's going to be explained. My whole problem with it, I didn't want to wait for a sequel for this to come to fruition. You could explain that in this film. Instead of wasting an hour of explaining stuff we already know in this franchise, you establishing the rules of this world, or trying to reestablish some new rules that have arisen due the course of time in this franchise. That's fine, but you took too long with stuff that we already knew and didn't explain stuff that was introduced. And I don't understand why. I don't understand that method, why they decided to go this route. The movie suffered from it. It is very disheartening because I thought this was going to be the horror movie of the year. I really did. It was so high on my overall anticipated films of the year, and ultimately it fell flat. 28 years later, gets a letter grade of a C-. Yeah, there were some sequences in here that were very interesting, very entertaining, but they were so few and far between. But when they were executed perfectly. I was entertained by them, but they were so few and far between. And no big set pieces, but like I said, I wasn't looking for a big summer blockbuster type film, with explosions and car chases and stuff like that. I was just looking for something to get the adrenaline pumping. None of that. But yeah, C- for 28 years later. With all that being said, will I go see 28 years later, The Bone Temple? Yes, I am going to see it in January. I'm going to go see it because I'm a fan of this franchise. I'm hoping it'll get better. We shall see. But I would love to know, what were your thoughts of 28 years later? Was it worth the wait, or are you like me? You walked away feeling like you was infected by the rage virus, because I feel like tearing something apart right now. But I would love to know your thoughts. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Don't forget about YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the Concession Stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of 28 years later. Want you all to know that I love you, continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.